Okay, now let's move on to another example of how we can calculate for power. In this case here, power can be calculated by taking my energy, which is measured in joules, and dividing it by my time, which is measured in seconds. And of course, I can also rearrange this formula to calculate for energy if I have power and time, and to calculate for time if I have energy and power. So looking at the first example done for us, a microwave oven has a power rating of 800 watts. So this is going to be my power here. If you cook a roast in the oven for 30 minutes, so that's my time here. How many joules of electrical energy are converted into heat by the microwave? So energy would be E here. So it looks like I'm looking for E because I have power and I have time. So E equals to power times time. However, looking at how they did it here, notice how they can't just take 800 and times it by 30 minutes because the minutes isn't in our base units. So we have to convert that to seconds first. So let's think about it this way. 1 minute equals to 60 seconds. So in this case, 30 minutes would just be 30 times 60. So in that case, I'm going to have a lot of seconds. So 60 times 30 is going to be 1800 seconds. That's actually going to be my time. So in this case, now for energy, I'm going to take my 800 watts and multiply it by 1800 seconds. And upon doing so, I'm going to get my answer here. So my answer is going to be 1440000 joules, and that's my base unit. Now here in the example, they got the same answer as us. However, to simplify this and make it have less zeros, because on like a label, you don't want to carry so many zeros, they changed it to millijoules. There's nothing wrong with what they did as long as they do the conversion correctly. So let's move on to some examples that aren't done for us and we can calculate them. So here for question 4, a machine uses 6,000 joules of energy. So that's my E for energy over 3 seconds, which is my time. What is the power of the machine? So for the power of the machine, we know that power, I'm looking for that, but I'm given energy and I'm given time, which is 3 seconds. I'm going to use S to represent that. Power is energy divided by time, as long as they're in the base units of joules and seconds. Now, in this case here, energy would just be 6,000 joules, and I'm dividing it by 3 seconds. So 6,000 divided by 3 would just be 2,000. So my answer is just going to be 2,000 watts. That's my power. Now, looking at question 5, a device operates at 2 kilowatts for 5 seconds. So I have my power and I have my time. How much energy does the device use? So I'm looking for energy. Let's write down what I have. Power equals to 2 kilowatts. And time equals to 5 seconds. And energy is what I'm looking for. Now in this case here, to find energy, I take power and I multiply it by time. So I write 2 kilowatts multiplied by 5 seconds. However, I can't actually just compute 2 times 5 because kilowatts is not my base unit. In fact, my base unit is actually in watts. So I have to change kilowatts into watts. Now our hint here is 1 kilowatt equals to 1,000 watts. So what I can do is I can convert that. Instead of writing 2 kilowatts, let's convert this to watts. This would be 2,000 watts. And then I can multiply it by 5 seconds. So 2,000 times 5 would be 1,000. Now I can write my units, which are going to be in joules. So these are all in their base units. Now for question 6, a motor uses 900 joules of energy. So I'm given energy. It operates at a power of 300 watts. So I have power. How long does the motor run? So I'm looking for time. So let's write down what I have first. E equals to 900 joules. P equals to 300 watts. And time is what I'm looking for. So in this case, the formula for time would be, if you rearrange it here, time equals to energy divided by power. So in this case, my energy is 900 joules. I divided by my power, which is 300 watts. In this case, these are all in the base units, so I just have to compute 900 divided by 300, which would be 3. And then I just write 3 seconds because my base units are in seconds.